Hello walkers, and welcome back to Livingston, Montana. I'm going to give a flood update. I wouldn't normally do Livingston so soon or so recently as close to our last walk here, which was a couple weeks ago. But given the flooding situation and a lot of the questions and concern that you guys have expressed, which I very much appreciate, thank you for thinking of us. I thought I would do a little short walk this week, and we'll go down to the river. Sorry for the wind, and we will see what we can see. So those you, well, first of all, thank you to our Patreon supporters for all your support and encouragement. I appreciate that. Thank you guys for your concern. I said all that. It is, what is it? It's June 19th. Juneteenth, a holiday in the U.S. now, and it is about 12:15, and it is 60 degrees Fahrenheit, 16 degrees Celsius. We're about to get some more rain with thunder and lightning. Very, very frightening. Amadeus, for those of you keeping track of random song references. And the last 2 days has been 90 degrees. So I think what I'm going to do is I'll just chat here and sort of stream of consciousness as we go. We are walking down 2nd Street right now towards the river. You can see the mountains in the distance shrouded in clouds. It's also Father's Day here, so happy Father's Day to all you other fathers out there. Little sad news, this little barbecue shop used to be Odd Squad Barbecue that have shut down. They just couldn't make it with all the other things going on. So on Monday of this past week, we got a lot of snow over the weekend, and then a lot of rain on the day I did the Pine Creek Falls walk, which you should definitely check out. And that rain on sort of warm snow, unpacked snow, just released a ton of water into the Yellowstone River drainage. And so what happened was the water came up really quickly there, and more quickly than I've ever seen it. Obviously, this is very historic, 500-year floods. And the word started to go out that the water was coming up, things were going bad. My family volunteered to go fill sandbags. We filled sandbags for about 7 hours, had to move our original sandbag filling operation because of fears of flooding a couple blocks away, a little bit uphill. It was really wonderful to see all the hundreds of people coming out, filling sandbags for people that needed it. It really helped a few people. The water just got too high for a few others, and then in places it just ended up not being needed. That sandbag filling is continuing on because the water's still pretty high. I'll talk about that in a minute. And as we cross Clark Street here, and so that operation also went well into the night. They have a levee system that we will take a look at when we get down here. And people were out, volunteers mainly, with the help of city maintenance folks, filling sandbags and putting sandbags on the levee to try and save a lot of the low-lying areas here in town. They put up a levee in 97, which was a big flood year and flooded a bunch of the town, and that mainly held. There was some overage, but not enough to really affect the town. And it was really kind of cool because this was not some flood czar directing operations or telling people, some master plan to work on the town. It was really, this is kind of cool, but also kind of not cool. Just citizens coming together, seeing what needed to be done, and just doing it, digging in and doing it. Probably not the most efficient way of doing things, but it worked. The city kept bringing truckloads of sand in. People, volunteers, kept filling them and putting them out where they needed to go. And it was just a really heartwarming thing to see people coming together. You know, for those of you that watch this channel, you can pretty obvious that I'm a left of center folk, which is great. That's fine. But we had people from all across the spectrum, and it didn't matter what bumper sticker you had on your car. People were helping each other out, and that's seems like a rare thing these days, but I don't think it's as rare as headlines and internet would have us believe. Across this road here. So here's to that spirit of people helping people. Getting some rain here, so I'll go as long as I can without damaging the camera. It's not waterproof. I had a discussion with somebody that was asking about that, and when I was up at Pine Creek, I was just covering it with my hand and holding it underneath my, like hunching over and holding it under my body as best I could. Obviously, if you've been watching the national news, the northern half of the park is closed. Gardner was cut off completely for about 48 hours. Cook City and Silvergate were cut off. Well, Silvergate, which is out near Cook City, was completely cut off for several days. Cook City, I think, had a outlet to Cody, and both of those are now connected. You can get in and out via Cody only. Red Lodge had just so much water flowing down their main street. Big Creek overflowed its banks and just started running down Main Street. Huge losses there. Major losses down in Paradise Valley. Bridge was wiped out. One bridge, I think the abutment has been eroded, and they're not sure what to handle with that. Still, even a week later, 9 days later, a lot of unknowns. A lot of people not sure what's going to happen, not sure what's usable, what needs to be repaired. There's a bridge downriver from Livingston called the 89 Bridge, and there's an old railroad bridge there just upstream, like a matter of feet upstream. It's no longer used for that, but it's starting to collapse, and if that goes, they're worried about it taking out the highway bridge. Bridge is closed for now, and there's a detour through town to get there. Here's the lagoon. You can see the water coming down. Sorry, I'm losing my track of thought here. We just went down into the valley. The water is still very high. We'll see that in a little bit. A lot of people were heavily impacted by this, especially to the south of Livingston, down near the canyon where those mountains are coming together down there. A lot of people lost everything in the floodwaters, and there's still an ongoing effort of people volunteering, contributing. I will try to put a link down in the description of this video if you feel like kicking in a few dollars. There's an official Park County Community Foundation fundraiser that their whole purpose is to collect funds and distribute it to other nonprofits that need it. So a lot of people have been asking about that, so I'll put that down there. Here's a community center, the baseball fields, and the skate park. Skate park was not flooded, thank goodness. And what else? I feel a little breathless here and trying to breathe a little deeper and take my time. We personally were in a mandatory evacuation area. Had somebody knock on our door at 11 p.m. at night, obviously, saying we were in that, and they said, well, we can't make you leave. They said we were not going to drag you out of here. And we chose to stay. We're on a hill. We felt pretty confident at that point that the water was not going to get anywhere near us. least up to our level. And so we spent the night. We got some water set aside, filled up some water jugs just in case water treatment went down in Gardner. They're still under a boil notice or a do not drink notice for their water system. And the road through 89, or through Yankee Jim Canyon, 89 north, south, that was overflowing. I mean, it was covered in water. And luckily it didn't apparently wash the road completely out, because that was a major link to those towns. And what else? Oh yeah, we had a storage unit about a mile outside of town, just downstream. It's out on a floodplain, and we got about 8 to 10 inches of water in there, but luckily I'd already taken out a lot of stuff to put, because we're moving out of it and storing it in a shed, and which is not a tough shed, and I had a terrible experience with that company, but that's another video. And so everything is sort of on shelves, and we had a few things that got lost, kind of ruined, that we chucked. But honestly, as compared to a lot of stuff going on here, we got off really easy, and we feel grateful. I'd also say that the city is making, we have a transfer station here where you can take large trash items, and they've made dumping fees free for people that are in the city limits, and putting up, and have, they need to get rid of all this flood damage stuff. The county has put out extra dumpsters and stuff, what they call green boxes, in various places to make cleanup easier. And it's just people making things work. So we're very grateful for that. We're going to go up here and see the river. You can see some of the sandbags. And the trail is officially closed here, so I'm not going to hike along it, at least on top of it. They say for safety reasons, I think it's pretty safe still. But you can see the river is still high. It's come down significantly. So you can see how much higher the water was here if they were putting sandbags to protect it. So we will come down off this trail. It is raining pretty good now. But one thing is our storage unit is out near the animal shelter, which is about, like I said, almost a mile from the river. It's a floodplain, and they said the river came up. One person, a friend of mine was out there, said came up from nothing to over the hubcaps of their van in 7 minutes. I also heard that they had to be rescued with swiftwater rescue personnel. They were out there trying to get the animals out. And my friend said at the end, they were just throwing open doors to make sure the animals could at least try and save themselves. I don't think they had any losses, maybe some fish. But they've been able to farm out animals to volunteers, who have been taking them to foster animals and adopt animals. We have some friends that got a hairless guinea pig, which I had never heard of before, but it's super cute. They named it Dobby. And so the water was up to this level, these sandbags. We'll walk down here where it was actually coming over a little bit, and they were worried that the levee was going to breach, which, that's, what was that, 3 feet of water that would have come rushing in to here and just flowed down that way, pretty much unimpeded. So it's just, again, so thankful for the people that were out here till 2 a.m. This represents tons and tons of sand, all put there by human muscle and filled with human muscle. And hi, Alita. And just a tremendous amount of effort, and so we're very thankful. But you can see right here, we're 3.5, 4 feet. We'll go up here and take a look at the river, but I came down, and maybe I'll throw a phone video in here at some point. To illustrate how high the water was, but I was down here at 5 or 6 p.m. and the water was lapping up in a couple places, about 5 or 6 inches from the top. But you know, that's what, 6 to 8 feet lower. And with this rain we're getting and the recent heavy or hot weather, it's supposedly going to come up again. I mentioned I was going to talk about as I try to obey the rules here, the level. So at Corwin Springs, it was 2 to 3 feet higher than ever recorded. I think the biggest one last was 1918. It just kind of blew it out of the water. The highest I've ever seen it, I think, is like maybe 30,000. It got up to 55,000 CFS. So, I mean, do the math on that. That's cubic feet per second. That is a tremendous amount of water coming down here. And on the far side, there's the island here. We had some friends that spent the night out there trying to defend their homes, and they got a little water, but luckily they survived. On the far side of the river, there's a hill. There's no floodplain. This is the floodplain in here where we are, until you get down out of town, and then it sort of goes over to the other side where the hospital was. The hospital didn't get flooded, but you couldn't get to it, so it was closed up for 2 or 3 days. Looks like we got a tree down here. So just a lot of excitement and still a lot of work, a lot of effort, and now we get to the, look at this tree, economic impact, right? So a lot of people had planned to come out here to Yellowstone for their vacation, right? 2-3 weeks. They've got thousands of dollars of reservations. I'm gonna get back down off of here. Here's some sand that they've either were probably using to fill sandbags, but may have been also to shore up this levee. So these towns like Gardner, they're in a tourism economy. That's it. There's 800 people, 1,200 people down there, all dependent on tourism, pretty much. And they're not going to have any business this year, not much, which is strange because there's still a ton of stuff to do out here, even when you're not going to Yellowstone. A lot of people are going down to Grand Teton. This week, on Wednesday, they're going to reopen the Southern Loop, and the deal is if your license plate ends in it or has the last number in it is an odd number, then you are allowed in on an odd day. So like the 3rd, 5th, 7th, whatnot. Even numbers on even numbered days. Commercial guides can go in any day if they have a valid commercial guide license. So if you want to get into Yellowstone, highly recommend hiring a guide if you can get in on one. Or if you have a reservation at a campground or hotel that is currently open, not all of them are, then you should be able to get in on any day into the park. And then groups of motorcycles are even days only. That's the latest news. There's a lot, like I said, there's a lot of stuff that people are still figuring out, and obviously people are concerned. They can't get in touch with their VRBO reservations. I think this might have been where it was lapping up against here. Keep in mind that people might not know until recently, if their house is still there or if it's accessible. They just have recently opened up 89 down to Emigrant, which for local and emergency traffic only. We just went down to Pine Creek Lodge and had brunch this morning, so that's open. They're having music. I think other immigrants open for business, the Old Saloon and other places down there. I don't know about Chico and Sage, but I think they are. And there's no police officers down there checking reservations or anything. But be respectful. If you don't need to be down there, do not go down. Maybe wait a week or two. But if you have reservations, definitely consider coming. On travelingmail.com, we're going to try and get up a post of alternative activities in the area for families that are out here vacationing and are having to adjust their plans. I know Glacier has also had a fair amount of rough weather, snow and rain, so I don't know if that's still an option, or maybe it'll definitely be later in the year. But they've had so much snow, they're not going to open up the Go Into the Sun Road until, I think it's going to be a couple weeks later than normal. But check out travelingmail.com in the next few days, and we will try to have up or YellowstoneTrips.com, maybe it'll go there. I'll put a link to whatever we come up with in the video cards and in the description. Get the rain coming in. I love these birds. A lot of people have said, so the point of that was, be patient. I know that some of you have some urgent requests and you don't want to lose out on thousands of dollars of rentals, but there's just a lot of unknowns still. People are still figuring things out. So take a breath and just keep trying diligently and be kind, please, to yourself and to others who are, facing this uncertainty, right? So my wife, Traveling Mel, also runs a Facebook group called Yellowstone, Montana, and Glacier Trip Planning. Join that if you are still interested in coming out here, and there'll be a lot of stuff like that. But just be kind to each other. That's what we're learning here. You can see, we'll go over here, several hundred sandbags ready to go if they're needed. The economic impact is going to be tough here. So if you can come, please do. Just know that there will be access through West Yellowstone and Cody and then the south entrance, but not through Gardner or Cook City. Lamar Valley area will be closed. Ultimately, they're going to open up Tower and possibly over to Mammoth. But those entrances will be closed probably for the season, and maybe into the winter. So we'll see how that goes. But there's tons of trails around. There are caverns and museums and ghost towns and all sorts of cool, fun things to do. So please keep an eye out on those. I'm going to wipe the screen here. Sorry. Can't really tell. There we go. On this tiny little LCD screen, if the lens is wet or not. And what else was I going to say? Yeah, so this will be, we're gonna go see this section over here, what they've put, and then I will be continue to update you guys as I can. Luckily the flooding and the impact was fairly localized. The mountain ranges, like I think Bozeman had some flooding, but not too bad. Possibly some over on the Madison, but I think not nearly like they've had on the north end of the Absarokas here, Red Lodge to Gardner and Cook City. So that's reassuring. Again, still tons of stuff to do. Yeah, hit me up with your questions in the comments. I love interacting with you guys, and I'm happy to answer whatever I can. I know this isn't exactly a comprehensive update, but it is what I know right now. So things are changing, and the the government employees that are out evaluating and checking things out have been doing a great job. They're working hard. There's only so many of them, and there's not a lot of easy access to some of these places. These are sandbags that are ready to go. And our governor was caught out a little bit. He was off in Tuscany on a personal vacation. And he's been catching a lot of flack, and I don't personally agree with him on a lot of things, but you know, this happened pretty quickly. I think he could have come back a little sooner, but I don't know. It's this happened over the course of 24 hours, and he's a continent away, so cut some people some slack these days. Anyway, that's going to be our little walk here and our tour of waterlogged Livingston, which could have been a lot worse. The dog park, Moja Dog Park, also known as Mayor's Landing, is closed. The river is actually closed to all recreation at this point, which I don't know why you would want to go out there, but there were some yahoos kayaking, which made a lot of people angry because, you know, if they get in trouble, that's rescue resources that have to be dedicated to them for, you know, getting their little adrenaline fix. Not really appreciated. Again, any questions, let me know. We will be back again next week, and until then, you guys take care of each other, be kind, and keep on stepping.